Welcome back, everyone, to our studios here in Cologne as we're about to dive into our last LCS match of the day, SK Gaming versus ROCCAT. But first, I'm joined by ROCCAT's coach, Veggie, as we've been hearing so much about you and want to talk to you in person. The first thing I want to ask you is, we're playing on 4.10 here. Your boys are over in London playing. You, as a coach, have the huge pressure of getting all that information to them in just a couple of days. So how do you go about that?
Well, basically, everybody doesn't feel that sure, right? Because of 4.10, we just play together. We analyze what goes on. We obviously copy and analyze what other people do. And we just pick what we're comfortable with, because at the moment, really, people don't know what is the best. So it's better to just play something that the team feels good with, even if it's not standard.
Yeah, and that has been helping for you guys. You've been doing good in the laning phase, but then as heard from the guys, yeah, well, we play scared because we don't want to mess things up. So how do you step in and try and help them and get more confidence?
Well, the way I see it, confidence is all about feeling sure in the meta, and that comes with just playing more and more games. Well, it doesn't change the fact that the meta has changed a lot lately, obviously due to all the stuff that's been going on in Korea. I've been watching a lot of those matches, and I've been trying to do stuff like that here with the team, but sometimes it works and sometimes it doesn't. So at the moment, the team is scared because we're basically just trying the new Korean stuff, but we haven't translated it for like the stuff for work for us yet. So that's been a bit of a problem, but we're trying to work that out.
Yeah, scared seems to be the key word here, so I'll throw it into the last question. How scared or not scared are you guys of SK Gaming? How do you think it's going to go?
Well, we're definitely not the favorites. I mean, they're the second in the league. But we just take every match as it goes, and we'll see how things go. It still doesn't change the fact that we're probably just going to play kind of standard and see how things go. Doesn't mean that we're like super scared of them, but they're definitely the favorites.
All right, well, whatever works. Thank you very much, Veggie.
No problem.
All right, we're going to get into that game. So let's go over to D-Man and Trevor.
Thank you very much, Shocks, and wise words from Veggie there. It is indeed time for our last match of the day, as second place SK Gaming will take on ROCCAT, who are actually on a 4-game win streak, despite the fact he's talking about how scared they may be. For SK Gaming, of course, they can't afford to drop games to teams lower down the table if they want to remain in reaching distance of Alliance, who of course won today. SK Gaming lost to Alliance last week in London, and truthfully, they didn't really look like they could challenge the league leaders, but the following day, they absolutely demolished the Super Hot crew. Jesiz once again was allowed on Kassadin and dealt with the Super Hot crew's mid-lane Nocturne with relative ease.
Yeah, so it was interesting to see the crew running Nocturne middle, but it wasn't any bother to Jesiz, and he wasn't punished at all. I think, you know, Impaler just didn't do a good job of shutting him down, and as such, Jesiz was able to farm his way to strength, and he was able to steamroll Super Hot crew. It wasn't all about Jesiz, though, because all of the rest of his lanes did the same thing. It was just a dominant victory. The big story for me was just how one-sided SK's loss was to Alliance. They got outplayed completely, and if ROCCAT want to win here today, they should have taken a long, hard look at that match and figured out exactly how Alliance picked SK apart.
Well, for ROCCAT, of course, on your screens, the confidence of a 4-game win streak surely must have calmed their nerves. Although, hopefully, it didn't calm them too much, because last week's victories were far from convincing. ROCCAT went 2-0 in London, of course, taking down Gambit and Millennium, but they certainly took a hell of a long time to finish both of those games. In fact, it took them 8 minutes on average longer to close those games out in London than the rest of their matches in the entire split. Crazy stuff, very long games.
Yes, got them a whole lot of extra ward kills, as I'm sure everyone will
yes,
remember.
it did.
But yeah, those longer game times, they stem from the fact that the team is playing scared. You heard Veggie saying exactly the same thing. They're afraid to commit to making plays, but I think they're only afraid in the mid to late game stages. As a team, ROCCAT have actually secured the fastest average first bloods at 4:46. They've increased their 10-minute total gold player marks. They've also increased their 20-minute CS averages across the board. Most notably on Overpow, who's last week's MVP, he's seemed to step up in London. He improved his laning phase a massive portion, an additional 20 CS per game higher. And it just seems like the early game's going better. It's the late game where they've got problems.
I mean, the question is, how much better is ROCCAT really looking? Can they keep up this winning streak against SK?
I'm going to go out on a limb and say they can in theory. They are looking better than they have all split. They've got better picks and bans. I talked about their laning phase, how good it is. They've got better objective base play. If they're giving up dragons, they take towers. But they suffer from that too timid to finish mindset. And it slows the game down because they can't push beyond inhibs and beyond. So in order to get through the problem, they need decisive, intelligent play, enforcing their opponent's hand. And this game is going to be a good litmus test against SK Gaming because they're playing fantastically and they can do that very well against other teams.
Well, with SK looking to secure their place in the top of the table, ROCCAT are quickly climbing. This match might come down to the squad who has managed to adapt best to the current meta.
We would like to be first place, but second place is good.
I don't think that sixth place is the place where we want to be.
Right now we are in a bit of slump. I'm not a slump, but we're not as good as we used to be because the meta changed. We still have to find ourselves.
Yeah, it can definitely hurt a team if you're not up to date and up with the meta. If you're always behind, you'll always be behind in ladder as well, in LCS.
We played a lot of champions that just aren't viable anymore. So we had to change that. Every patch the game changes, so you have to find your playstyle inside the patch. And if your playstyle from the patch before doesn't work, then you're screwed. You have to adapt, and that's really hard.
Adapting to the meta is sometimes even harder than just playing the game itself. So I feel ROCCAT has a bit of a problem with that, and they might be not the best team on that, but overall their team play and their performances are actually quite decent.
At the start of the season we played old meta, and that's maybe the reason why we lost so many matches. That was the same in the past. We need some time to get used to the new stuff, so it may be true.
In the first 2 weeks we were playing very bad, and now we're improving, so I'm pretty happy about that, and I think we can keep this up until playoffs and then play top 3.
I think the last 3 matches bring hope for us, so we can do much better in the next weeks.
To be the best team, never be satisfied, keep performing better, and just try the hardest you can and train the hardest you can.
And it's very easy to see what the players are saying now, how they're going to be in the meta when the patches like 4.10 comes out, massive amounts of changes. For these players, they have to, if they have to just adjust one single champion, they have to play it at the top level. It's not just a case of, well, I can play that. It's a case of, can you play it well enough to beat this pro who's expert on this champion?
I completely agree, and I also feel like the usage of the word meta there may have been overdone, because yes, the game has shifted.
All about the meta.
The game has shifted somewhat, but we're not going to 4v0s, we're not going to counter jungling, we're not going to 3v1 tower dives. So I feel like the meta is fairly stable, but the niche picks and the uniqueness of the style of play is what's changed in 4.10, and we'll see whose meta is better.
Well, when we heard CandyPanda say, you know, a lot of the champions we play are no longer viable, well, I beg to argue because Renekton's back in it, and Freddy in that top lane, it's one of his champions. Let's check out those starting lineups, because on the blue side, it is SK Gaming, which means Freddy is the top man right there. Svenskeren, of course, in the jungle alongside him. Jesiz in that mid lane. CandyPanda as the AD carry, and nRated in support.
And on the red side, it is ROCCAT with Xaxus up top, Jankos in the jungle, Overpow in the mid lane, Celaver AD carry, and VandeR as the support.
Well, before this match begins, let's total up the votes and see which team you guys picked. According to LOLesports.com, well, it's a majority for SK Gaming. No surprises, 65% overall for that one. They are second place currently. And
that's not a convincing vote. That's not a convincing vote.
It's not. But that's because SK were not convincing against Alliance last week. They got destroyed.
They weren't, and I do feel that SK are actually, as an aggregate, at a weaker stage in week 6 this split than they were at week 6 last split.
Yes.
You did feel that if you look back at the spring split, the team that was at the top that was performing well week to week was SK. Now you feel that about Alliance. And we need to see if SK can stave off the aggressive plays from ROCCAT. If ROCCAT can get their hands on, you know, early game champions like Elise, if they get their hands on Renekton, maybe it could be a way to disrupt SK's flow and get in their faces.
Well, here we go, ladies and gentlemen. Picks and bangs underway, and as I mentioned, Renekton, of course, for Freddy. Don't forget, Xaxus is very strong on that champion too. Lulu being banned out as the first choice for SK Gaming, followed by Ryze in that top lane away from Xaxus. We've seen Ryze being played by Xaxus for a while there. Morgana and Jax being taken away by ROCCAT. Morgana definitely been a strong champion and has been banned out a few times today.
A lot of top lane bans, I would say. You know, Ryze and Lulu are somewhat interchangeable, and it's interesting to see the Ryze banned out because with the nerfs to teleport, it's going to take him a long time to scale. Regardless, it's off the table, and I do see things like Thresh, like Braum, like Twitch, like Lucian still up and available for either of these teams to lock in. And as you keep talking about the Renekton, Freddy currently undefeated on that champion.
Also, a big one is Kale. We'll see whether that gets banned out by ROCCAT. Both these teams have played that heavily. Kassadin also on the cards. ROCCAT, of course, have got a choice. They're going to let one of them through. It's going to be Kale.
So ROCCAT have
going to get picked up.
Rocket and many other teams have let Cassidy through in the past, and most times...
there we go. He picks up 6 and then suddenly he's home like, go, quick, type it in, type it in. Jesiz is screaming out, don't lock it in.
And of course, Jesiz used to be an AD carry player prior to joining a multitude of teams. He went on record as saying the Runan's Hurricane Kayle build and style reminds him very much of his ADC days, and it is one of those things that scales. SK can't afford to make the same mistakes that the Copenhagen Wolves made earlier because Kayle needs time to reach that point. Also, please do remember nRated has run support Kayle multiple times, so if picks and bans doesn't go the way SK wants, they always have the option to throw into his hands or even leave it in Freddy's hands. Yep. A lot of versatility with that pick.
Absolutely, and that means Lee Sin is going to be left available for Jankos. I don't think Svenskeren is going to be too worried about that. We've seen him pulling out the likes of Jarvan over the last few weeks. Ziggs for Overpow, though. We don't often see the mid lane at first pick for ROCCAT, but this time around, it seems they may well go for it. And it's going to leave the AD carry, possibly take away Lucian from Celaver. I'm not sure that's a choice they want to make, but it is going to be locked in.
Also, if you're acting on the assumption that Kayle is mid lane, you're allowing yourself to counterpick other lanes. So it's not necessarily terrible right now, but I do think getting a comfortable pick for Celaver is something that is very important for ROCCAT. When he is performing well, and when he's playing like he did last week in London, it can work. But Celaver did play a phenomenal Corki. So even if Lucian is taken away, you could see him running that Corki, because it is a very effective champion, and I think he went unkilled last week if memory serves. It was 9-0-3 or 9-0-6, somewhere along those lines.
Well, CandyPanda is pulled out once again. It was drawn, I think it was against Alliance actually, he played Caitlyn, and it didn't go very well, but now, potentially, of course, we've already seen a Caitlyn be victorious in the hands of Tabs today. Wasn't expecting Caitlyn to come out, obviously, today, but seems to be back on the cards.
SK Gaming cannot afford to fall behind in the laning phase. Evelyn can do very well at punishing lanes if he can get ganks off with in the hands of Svenskeren. But Kayle and Caitlyn both need time to scale. Caitlyn, if he's going to go for the Infinity Edge into Shiv or Phantom Dancer, needs 8,500 gold before he hits that power spike. Kayle, similar story, needs Nash's Tooth, needs Rune on Hurricane. It's a lot of money, a lot of investment. So for SK Gaming against a Lee Sin, a potential Renekton and Ziggs, the laning phase is super crucial for ROCCAT. They need to do to SK what Fnatic did to the Copenhagen Wolves earlier. Get ahead and punish the late power spike in the current SK build.
VandeR might be making a return here as Thresh locked in for him. And Renekton, of course, for Xaxus in that top lane. This is where we see, will this be Kayle in the mid? Will it be top? Will they change things around?
So I like what ROCCAT has done. They have identified the strength in their gameplay as the current laning phase. And I do think they will be trying to look for head-to-head matchups. If VandeR goes for the likes of a Lucian Thresh can do very well against Caitlyn Zara if they play aggressive. If they get in their faces and punish, the burst damage of Lucian can do well against Caitlyn. But if CandyPanda or CandyPanda is able to zone out Celaver and VandeR, that's when the lane's going to go bad for them. So we need to keep an eye on how aggressive these two duo lanes play, if, of course, they do go head-to-head.
Well, I can put money on Lucian being the final lock-in for ROCCAT here. We do see Zyra was selected by nRated, and also Aatrox for Freddy in that top lane. It's a champion who's played before, and there is the Lucian selection for ROCCAT. Celaver's going to play that. Who are we kidding?
Yeah, I think so too. If not, it's going to be Corki. You've got a good mixture of damage here on the side of ROCCAT, but just to wrap up the SK composition, you do have a fairly late-game scaling team comp. Aatrox, again, is going to be reliant on getting himself to that Blade of the Ruined King, or alternatively going for the likes of that Ravenous Hydra. We have seen both build paths in the past. The sustain on Aatrox will do very well against the damage and the poke that Renekton's putting down early on, but it is all about the mid to late game power spike for SK Gaming. So if SK were to initiate a lane swap, that could put them in the deciding and controlling factor when forcing ROCCAT's hands, and it would also open up Svenskeren to go for tower dives or for more ganks. Generally, when you're in those 1v1 and 2v2s, it's a little more predictable to keep your eyes on Evelyn. So for ROCCAT, they want to be disrupting SK. I think they've got very good lane matchups, especially pre-6 in all of their lanes. So ideally, ROCCAT will be looking for head-to-head with Jankos trying to force flashes early and then punishing for those force flashes. It's something that he has done this split and last split.
We'll see whether anyone picks up the exhaust. I don't think it's really required, which is why everyone's sitting on all the ignites at the moment. We'll see whether that switches round as the game loads in. Teleports, of course, for both the top lane as well. Standard setup, I think, so far. We'll see who comes out on top in this one.
And to just comment on the lack of exhaust and the ignites for both of the supports, you almost expect, because of this high level of aggression, they want to just set up those kills, especially when you've got an Evelyn that can roam and flank. The CC from Aatrox, the CC from Zyra allows you to set up lane ganks and lane kills. But it's all going to come down to those matchups. Who's going to get the most favorable one?
We'll see how those matchups work out, ladies and gentlemen, with the champions selected. Do you still think SK is going to come out ahead? Tweet at LOL Esports and use the hashtag SKWin or ROCWin, and let us know who you think will win this matchup. Of course, we'll check in on those votes as the game progresses. So, game loading in, ROCAT on a 4-game win streak. Can they take down SK? If they do, they're doing everybody a favor, including the likes of Fnatic, who are chasing them hard.
Yeah, and I think for ROCAT, they need to get ahead early. I do like the scaling options. I do like the power that SK Gaming can build up as the game progresses. In addition, the split pushing opportunities are there for SK as well. So it's a very similar story that we've been seeing through most of our games here today. And the pressure's on ROCAT to make it happen.
So here we go, ladies and gentlemen. Final game of the day. SK Gaming starting out as that blue team, up against ROCAT as the red team, who are protecting their win streak. And honestly, I spent a lot of time with these guys in the airport as we had a lovely 4-hour delay at Heathrow. ROCAT, of course...
You sound bitterly.
They were not very confident. They were not very confident in their play, despite the fact they've gone 2-0 the last 2 weeks. They still don't feel very confident in their play. And we obviously heard Veggie just before this matchup talking about that confidence. Of course, is it a coincidence that Veggie's gone into the house and suddenly they've won 4 games in a row? Maybe it is, maybe it isn't. Maybe his influence is really working for them.
I dare say that this game is the rite of passage for ROCAT. This is the game that tests them because SK are performing well. They've had a few sketchy marks on their record, but generally, you do feel that SK individually and as a team are performing solidly. Keep in mind, Jez's champion pool has been hit as the split has gone on, but the strength of Kale and the fact that he's proven himself on that champion should play into his favor.
We'll see how it works out for them. Of course, we did have some cheeky gaming from Gambit in the last matchup, taking away both those blue buffs. As it stands this time, I tell a lie, it wasn't Gambit that did that, it was Super Hot Crew that did it. And as it stands, it doesn't look like there's going to be anything, and it could be actually standard meta as well. And you know, I was talking to Reckless earlier on, talking about how it's so hard to get into a 2v2 these days. Well, it looks like both ROCAT and SK want that 2v2.
Yeah, it definitely looks to be the case. And I like the fact that VandeR's also gone for that Relic Shield. As opposed to going for the Talisman, Relic Shield's going to give you more combat stats, allow you to trade a little more frequently and a little more evenly. And I think for Celaver and VandeR, if they get off to a good start in the opening levels, it would do them a whole lot of justice and help, especially if Celaver goes for the Blade of the Ruined King build versus the Infinity Age build that CandyPanda is what I'm expecting. It means there's going to be this window of opportunity where VandeR and Celaver can pressure, out-trade, and out-sustain his opponents. But again, it all depends on how these first few levels go and who picks up those first few items.
We'll see how it develops. Of course, level 2 will be the key for both of these teams, which is why we're sticking around down here. We want to see who gets it. So far, it's going to be SK that are pushing the advantage, and of course, they should hit that level 2 early, but I don't think they're going to go too aggressive here. VandeR, of course, hasn't got that player available just yet, and he may well have done. Not sure what he leveled up at the start. Jankos is going to make an appearance down the bottom here.
CandyPanda and nRated are doing a good job at using their range to their advantage, and they're immediately punishing Celaver and VandeR. VandeR need to get a few levels, and then they need to turn it around. If they can get a Death Sentence or a Flay, and combo it with the burst damage of Lucian, it'll work out in their favor. Jankos is on his blue buff. He's already secured it, so a little bit late from Svenskeren, but it will at least get the timing on that one.
He's going to go for him, though. He's unseen. He could just come in and just simply smite it. No, he hasn't got smite available. He's going to go for him. There we go. Jankos taking the damage from the back there. He's taking the white damage as well, but they're going to try and turn this one around. Jankos, of course, now trying to push back on towards him. Oh, he misses the kick. That's not good. He has to safeguard away to his team, but the rest of ROCAT moving in on towards this one. VandeR, can he throw it out? Oh, it's a great rubber ducky. Satchel chance from Overpow, and now Overpow's in trouble. Ignite running. He needs the shield from VandeR. I'm not sure it's available. He's just about sustains it with the help of the Total Biscuit.
Yeah, so manages to keep himself alive. A very aggressive play from Svenskeren, but luckily had the support of Jesiz. The damage in conjunction with the ignite onto Overpow forced him backwards. Look at Sven and Jankos. Oh, he's got it!
He's gone towards him. Svenskeren's going to get caught out, and Jankos gets himself first blood.
Managing to punish Svenskeren. I think Sven is playing overly aggressive. You know, that invade backfired. He immediately turns himself to an invade on the Wraith camp, and that backfires as well. Gives up first blood, no assist gold to anyone on Rocket, but Jankos will be very happy with that, and that's what you're looking for if you're Jankos. And also, Svenskeren burned his flash in the previous blue buff invade, so if Jankos can find him again in his next few levels, he may be able to punish him.
That's a very, very, very dangerous game to play up against the Lee Sin. They're not weak in the jungle early on, that's for sure. If anything, they are one of the strongest. Xaxus in this top lane. We know this is going to be very much in the hands of Renekton early on. We'll see how Freddy deals with it. Of course, he's well versed of how Renekton can play in this matchup. Aatrox has been the champion of his choice. Honestly, for probably the last 3 years, he was always fell back to it. Back into the Against All Authority days as well. He even sometimes fell over to it.
Yeah, and we do see them just playing good. Oh, there's so much damage!
What is he doing? He just strolls on forward, the Ignite running. He is going to get away with that, but that was dangerous, dangerous play. Not sure. He just walked in towards the tower.
Yeah, complete misplay. Either a misclick or just not paying attention. A good reaction from VandeR. We'll carry on with that in a second, as it looks like SK want to dive on Xaxus. A knockup might be key here if they can hold him in place.
They need to try and catch on towards him. It's a good slice and dice, and Xaxus flashes out of that knockup. Flash burn, though.
Yeah, flash burn, so rinse and repeat from Svenskeren can work in his favor. And CandyPanda, no flash. So Jankos will be aware of this information, and he needs to look to punish, because CandyPanda and nRated have been playing super aggressively in that bottom lane. They've pushed Rocket back to their tower the entire time this lane. And because of the damage CandyPanda's taken, he's backed off. It's allowed Celaver to close up the CS. This is going to be a 2v2 in the mid lane. Svenskeren with no flash. Jankos has his flash. And of course, it's going to be on Jankos to start.
Well, they see him.
Because SK were overextended.
They know he's there. He walked past that ward. You can see just below him. They're going to instead try and sneak around the side. Again, he's been sneaking in there. He doesn't realize he's completely spotted out here. SK, are they going to react to it? They're trying to play this one so coy. You can see Jesiz off the side. Svenskeren, now he's gone towards the Wraiths. Now they're going to make the move. Svenskeren comes in towards him. Hasn't got the double buff. Red buff from Jankos may help him out here. He's going to have to ward jump across to the pit and safeguards away.
Manages to get out cleanly, but he doesn't give up a kill. Very, very important. Svenskeren had his smite as well, so could have even smited that big Wraith away. And Jankos feeling more confident. That's the first play that we've seen him make. He hasn't gone for any gank attempts yet. Svenskeren's been much more present around the map, and obviously been punished for that. So we need to keep a very close eye on how and when Jankos decides to invade. Flash, still unavailable for Sven. Obviously not even halfway off cooldown for CandyPanda. And I think without that flash, I would expect nRated and CandyPanda to play safer, to play more passive in that bottom lane.
So CandyPanda came back to lane with the double Dorans and boots, whereas Celaver chose to sit on 650 gold he came back with from that lane, getting the double Dorans played. So he's going to try and save, try and get that Bilgewater Cutlass as quick as possible.
Yeah, I think so too. And the standard double Dorans into Infinity Edge gives you 6% life.
Oh,
they've got nRated.
nRated pulled in towards the tower, but the tower not quite doing the damage. And Celaver, CandyPanda putting the damage down towards him. He's very close to 6 here. If he hits it, he could fire off that Ace and but I don't think he's going to get it this way.
No, Summoner Heal's also available for Celaver in just a few seconds, so he may stick around and try play the heal bait. Keep in mind the sustain from Relic Shield is also playing into his favor. So it does look like CandyPanda and nRated have used their range just so well. They've been punishing Celaver and VandeR so hard that they've never been able to engage. And if Celaver and VandeR had been maybe more aggressive at lower levels, got more damage down, they could have regained control, but it's simply not the case. And they've had no support. Jankos has not been down there to help out. He hasn't tried to gank anywhere, in fact, but he has got himself a decent CS advantage over Svenskeren and obviously secure first life.
So blue buff for Jesiz. We'll see how we haven't really kept our eye on this one. It's been pretty much focused on that bottom lane, and obviously for obvious reasons they are putting the damage back and forth. Jankos now, level 6. He's going to come and see if that kick can help him out. No, level 6 so far for Rocket. And of course, meanwhile, you can see CandyPanda. They're about to hit it. VandeR goes in. Good flare towards CandyPanda. Quickly tries to get away from this one. Jankos, can he get the other side?
Oh!
Yeah, kicks CandyPanda back in. He's going down. It's Celaver with the kill.
Very good play. Thanks to Jankos. He had to flash forward to get the kick. VandeR's death sentence was just so close. What I like from Jankos is he hesitated. He didn't instantly flash until that death sentence had missed. And once it was obvious that it hadn't connected, he punishes CandyPanda for that previous misplay earlier and not having his flash available. So Rocket going to give themselves a kill advantage early.
And that forces CandyPanda into the pickaxe. So that's going to slow things down. Look at this though, VandeR so low. He's going to go down, and nRated will be the one that gets the kill. The Celaver's in trouble as well. Svenskeren catching on towards him, has the flash, does use the heal as well, keeps himself safe. Stands on a trap just at the end.
Vision is up, and CandyPanda is coming with the ace in the hole. He's trying to get himself in range. I think Celaver should be okay. But the fact that CandyPanda got that pickaxe means it delays his Infinity Edge build by a massive amount. He needs to resave back up to 1500. So Celaver, with the aid of Jankos getting the kill, means their window of opportunity to punish is going to be higher. I completely retract everything I just said because Celaver's gone for a BF sword first. So he's going to go for the Infinity Edge build. We've seen it earlier today, Tabs are saying Caitlyn, with the same items as Lucian, thanks to the range, will outscale and do better. But at least for the next few minutes, Celaver's going to have the damage advantage, obviously, because he's got the BF sword.
It's great to see, you know, even the pros, you know, you'd even see this in solo queue, normal games, whatever you're playing, people disagreeing with your build. Yep. Well, the AD carries at the top level in Europe disagree with each other's builds. Yep. So there's nothing new there. Of course, we saw Reckless on Lucian earlier going for the Yomu's Ghost Blade, and of course, Blade of the Rune King. Xaxus going on towards Freddy, interrupts him while he's trying to make that bite. Xaxus himself, of course, has just come back with that Bilgewater Cutlass teleport was used, and that may actually trigger SK to go for Dragon right now. Svenskeren is just going to make another visit to the bottom lane.
So SK with the numbers could go for Dragon and use teleport bottom lane. Alternatively, Freddy may feel he needs to teleport top to defend the tower because of the fact that Xaxus interrupted that recall. So ends up trading. Xaxus started his recall earlier, not the biggest of adjustments. And Sven was sniffing around the bottom lane. So for the time being, Rocket doing a decent job in these early stages, but even with an additional kill to their name, things are even on gold, and CS is pretty close across the board. So I do feel that they need to try and punish harder, as they've got a very strong early to mid-game team comp.
CandyPanda taking some damage, giving it back. CandyPanda takes the call in there. Death Sentence not quite landed. Svenskeren again trying to come around the side there, but Rocket are in numbers. And they may be going for Dragon. This could be a bad error for Rocket.
This is going to be very risky. Agony's Embrace is just becoming available for Svenskeren. Ace in the Hole is available for CandyPanda. This is going to be a three-man shield. Oh, they've peeled away.
Oh, they catch a grasping root on there. You can see Overpow joins them. Jesiz is about to join this one. There's going to be the Ace in the Hole landing on Jankos. Jankos is tanking out the Dragon and taking a hell of a lot of damage just on the side there. He does manage to secure it, but now Jesiz comes in. He fancies a piece of this. He gets on towards VandeR. Good explosive satchel. It's not going to quite be enough there. Satchel charge, and it's 2 kills for SK Gaming. So nevertheless, Svenskeren went down. It's another for Celaver.
Yeah, so 2 for 1 in favor of SK, but Rocket gets the Dragon. And remember, on this patch, Dragon is worth more gold at the earlier stages of the game. So Rocket are going to maintain even gold footing. They've actually got 100 ahead, so it is very, very close. But very importantly, they have timing on that next one, and we'll see if they want to make a play. You know, Rocket have played games where they've controlled every Dragon, and they've had games where they've lost every Dragon, but still done relatively well.
Well, that top lane, we talked earlier on that Xaxus should be bullying it out, but it appears that Freddy thinks otherwise. He's got himself the CS advantage. They are equal in level, and it is not going the way it should do in this top lane, which may well be a big problem for Xaxus later on. That may be why Jankos is choosing to pay a visit to the top.
The times we have seen this top lane, it doesn't look like Xaxus have been trying to punish. He's got the support of Jankos, and he's going to re-engage.
Oh, Svenskeren's nearby. There's the ultimate coming out from Freddy. He tries to bounce himself away. Oh, the kick from Jankos was not good. It sends Freddy to safety. And Svenskeren was not even needed.
So Flash blown, though. Keep that in mind. Even though the Dragon's Rage was not great, Flash has been burned from SK Gaming. So Jankos with another, you could call that a successful gank. Burning the summoner spell is always crucial. Celaver's alone in this lane, so let's see how much damage he takes. Just the one auto attack. Also, thanks to the kill CandyPanda secured, he is now equal in AD damage with Celaver, with both the pickaxe, longsword, and double Dorans.
So, mid lane we've not had a chance to really discuss. We did see Jesiz, of course, picking up a kill. He's got that Nash's now complete, and he's merrily going about his business, as is Overpow. They've been keeping even with farm between the two. Athene's was picked up, of course, by Ziggs. Despite the changes it's had, it's still very much a viable item for that Ziggs. Blue buffs being traded again. Overpow's going to go and collect his in just a moment's time. We can see the two pairings backing off, and very even between these two. Neither gone too aggressive. They're just happy to take it late game.
No, and I think SK are going to be extremely happy with that. They've got a team comp that does scale well, and they're also going to have more options to play with. I think Rocket can do well at defending split push and defending sieges because they have Ziggs. I mean, that's always going to be something they can do well. They can also siege very well. But for SK Gaming, having a Kayle and an Aatrox, who are both very good in those sort of side lane pushes, they've got good wave clear, and thanks to you know, the revive on Aatrox and the invulnerability on Kayle, they can also do well in the dueling situation. I think for SK to accelerate and grab control of this game, they can play the map, they can play the side lanes, but the key is to bait out the Mega Inferno Bomb. The key is to force Overpow to use his ultimate and then take advantage of that window of opportunity. And this is good damage from Jesiz.
That was a good bounce over with the Satchel Charge, forces Jesiz into the turret, and Ignite used out there from Overpow.
I think he was maybe a little scared of Jesiz going all in, really going for that kill. VandeR's just fallen so far behind in CS. 20 odd at this stage, just all stems from that strong level 1, and the tower's going down.
Oh, you can see he's not going to quite catch out. VandeR, the Ignite running nRated will get it. There goes the tower, and now ROC in all sorts of trouble. Jankos tries to get across the side. He has to flash away. The ward will give his position away, but he is safe. But it's another kill for SK Gaming, and they keep pushing. They've got a big wave.
Yeah, CandyPanda and nRated are just completely smashing this lane. The range on Caitlyn, as well as the poke damage from nRated, they land a good grasping roots, kill VandeR, and they haven't let up. Now, I think for Overpow to defend this turret, he may want to consider the Mega Inferno Bomb when the minion wave gets there, but SK need to buy a lot of time. They've got very few minions to really work with, and it looks like Celaver's done a good job at getting rid of them.
Okay, just being cautious. Jankos catching the Sonic Wave on Svenskeren will give his position away, and ROC moving in numbers into position. Pink ward will go down. Dragon's a long way off here. Oh, that was a good bouncing bomb catching both members of SK. You're talking about the CS, you've got to be careful. Of course, there is the Targon's Embrace on ROC VandeR, so of course CS will be gifted across to him. That's going to keep it fairly even in gold.
It does still add to Celaver's count. So even though it was 19, so the thing is, Celaver has done okay considering how badly he's been punished. Celaver and VandeR have not made any very aggressive plays without the assistance of Jankos, and because he's going for the Infinity Edge build, he needs to make sure that with the rest of his team, he gets those auto attacks down early on, because in this exact matchup, Infinity Edge Caitlyn versus Infinity Edge Lucian, we've seen Caitlyn come out ahead. You know, Creatine lost to Tabs earlier today, so we need to keep very close on how ROC with Jankos and Xaxus getting the faces of SK. For the time being, I think they've played too passive. I think they've had champions that could have punished SK harder, and Jankos has been content to farm and not necessarily have the strongest ganking opportunities.
And Freddy is just getting stronger and stronger in that top lane. Mega Inferno Bomb was used in the mid lane. They're going to have the timer on that one. Jesiz wipes that wave out straight away and pushes it back out towards him. He's going to go back, gets himself a Void Staff out of the second item now on Ziggs.
So that's a slightly different route to what we're used to seeing. In addition to the unique Void Staff second item, you've got nRated who's gone for a Haunting Guise as his sort of first complete after that compulsory GP10 and Sightstone. I really like looking at the supports this patch because VandeR's gone Relic, he didn't go Talisman, probably anticipation of the 2v2 and the combat. But because nRated's gone for that AP damage, it means SK are also going to be doing significantly more team fights with the additional damage that Zyra's picked up. And just great positioning means SK have got the option to start Dragon. Teleports up for both top laners, and if ROC engage, they need to get through the Stranglethorns of nRated Zyra.
Sonic Wave on Svenskeren doesn't get followed through. No Lee Syndrome this time around. Dragon will get started out. SK taking it fairly quickly. ROC moving in numbers though. It's a 4-on-4. Dead Centers lands on towards Svenskeren. They do not follow through. This time they do. Teleports coming out from both Freddy and Xaxus. Xaxus going straight into SK to strain on towards them. There's intervention on Freddy. He turns it back around. Freddy with the damage onto VandeR. Gets kicked away. Doesn't matter. SK coming out on top of this one. Mega Inferno Bomb whiffing from Overpow. And Jesiz is just cleaving his way to victory over Overpow. That's a double for him. Celaver backing out there with Xaxus. And well, ROC just decimated in that fight. It's 3-for-1 to SK and the Dragon.
Such good control and coordination from SK. The presence of mind to put the snap trap down on the teleporting ward means the moment Xaxus arrives, he's locked up. That happens on the right-hand side of your screen. You'll see that's an instantly cast from CandyPanda. And we talked about how difficult it is to engage through that Stranglethorns. When Freddy gets in trouble, the rest of ROC have to peel away. They can't pop his passive, not only because of the Stranglethorns, but because the intervention saved them as well. And SK just keep their damage threats on their opponent's damage for a significantly longer period of time. Because Xaxus was forced away as soon as the fight began, there's no front line for ROC, and there was nothing to prevent SK running through them. So a strong 3-for-1 in favor of SK.
And that, of course, Mega Inferno Bomb missing is a big key element in the damage for ROC. And if that doesn't hit its point, they were pretty clumped, but they backed away. I could understand why he threw it to that point, trying to catch him in that little bottleneck. And instead, SK quick to react, stepping away from that one. So everybody returning to lanes, despite the fact that early aggression, the Dragon going down. You can see both ADs back in that bottom lane, and both junglers moving towards the top.
Very extended laning phase from these two teams. I mean, 20 minutes, we've seen the Dragons. We are going to see a 2v2 in terms of top laners, but the support for SK is much higher. Look at both nRated and Jesiz. If something were to break out, they can roam up there very, very quickly. And I think smart play from ROC not to look for the engage. But again, ROC, they are falling behind, and their opponent's team comp is going to start overtaking them. Freddy's done such a good job in staying even with Xaxus. He's actually ahead of Xaxus as far as the CS is concerned. And he's got that built-in blood well. He's going to be quite a lot more relevant with a multi-man slow and a multi-man knock-up in team fights. So in terms of CC and utility, he's also going to be doing more than Renekton can.
With those two towers there, and SK want to go aggressive on this one. Oh, Freddy having to pop the ultimate there and keep ROC at bay.
That felt a little awkward.
That was a little awkward from ROC there.
Yeah, Xaxus really feeling the pressure, I think. Opening with Bilgewater Cutlass, Jankos wasn't even in range to safeguard, and Freddy basically just popped his Blade of the Rune King, his own ultimate down, and stepped away quite safely. SK are going to continue playing this one safe. They're going to continue farming this out, keep hitting their item thresholds, wait for Jesiz to hit you know, a big power threshold, wait for Freddy to get himself probably, looks like the makings of a Randian's Omen, could be Sunfire Cape. And then once they feel they've got their item requirements, bait out the Mega Inferno Bomb and just push the lanes.
Jesiz pushing in that mid lane, of course. They have a lot of damage on those turrets. See the Rabadon's death cap getting slowly built up by Jesiz. That's going to be his second item, it seems. Oh, will it be? We'll see the Ace in the hole coming through on towards Overpow. It's going to choke him down back in the top lane. They're going for round 3 onto Freddy.
Well, we'll see if they can get the kill. Jankos misses the Sonic Wave.
Yeah, he's just going to walk away from this one. I don't think he's going to get caught out. The good invulnerability again from Jesiz, stopping all of the damage, and that will be the turret. That's what SK wanted. Freddy does go down in the top, but that's the middle turret going down. They did lose Svenskeren in the process, so a toe for 0. But it's an inner turret.
ROC need to punish. Because they've got the numbers advantage, they have the opportunity to push in both the top lane and this bottom lane. But the wave clear from CandyPanda, as well as nRated, may be enough to defend it. So 2 kills and trading a tower for tower, ROC should be happy with that trade. But what I like from SK is they completely said, we don't care you've got Ziggs. We can force a tower. We know you're going to go for Freddy. So while you're doing that, give us the objective we feel it's more important.
Well, Blue Buff is going to get forced towards him. Instead, they're going to 5-man this mid lane because he's not available. You can see they're all rushing around towards it, but with the wave clear that CandyPanda is offering currently, he's keeping them at bay. I mean, it will be a little too far. There's going to be Stranglethorns thrown down. It does force them away. Jankos is actually taken very low from this one. The rest of SK are now back up and running as nRated tries to catch on towards them. A grasping route would be the death of someone from ROC, and they're backing off. SK, they can take what they want on the map.
This all stems from the fact that SK forced that inner turret. They may have bitten off more than they can chew. In fact, they did, because they lost an additional tower. SK played aggressive, they played brave, and they've given up their first 2 towers of the game. They still have a gold lead. They still have map control, because the moment SK's team members respawned and made it back to the lane, ROC were in full retreat. So it's not all bad, but it did feel like somewhat of a forced engage from SK. And they just need to be a little careful, because the longer the game goes, the more punishing those mistakes are. I mean, Super Hard Crew learned firsthand against Gambit just a moment ago.
Going back to the conversation with Reckless that actually Deficio was talking to him as well earlier on. Talking about the Infinity Edge, you know, it's how it takes, what, 25 minutes to get a reasonable 2-item build, which you can see we're at the 23-minute mark, both of them close to there. There's the Phantom Dancer along with that Infinity Edge, so now Caitlyn is happy, and we're talking about how Caitlyn would become relevant. It's like, no, 25 minutes, you know. And Deficio said, I hate to tell you, man, the average EU game time is 42 minutes.
Exactly.
It doesn't matter if it takes 25 minutes, we're going to get to that level. Not very often do we get games that short. If we do, SK Gaming involved this time around though, they're not going to be closing the game out that quick.
No, definitely not. And with the item build that Jesiz has gone for death cap after the Nash's Tooth, he's also going for more of a burst build. He's got sustained damage from both Freddy, who's gone Blade of the Rune King, and CandyPanda with Infinity Edge. So I like the adaptation from Jeziz's side. to go for the more burst option because he's got damage elsewhere. nRated's built damage as well. So why not supplement your consistent damage damage over time with burst damage? And we'll see how it works out. Dragon's respawning. The last time Rocket tried to challenge, they overextended into the Stranglethorns and the intervention from Kayle. And they need to make sure they prevent that. Also, they can't afford to be split up. Xaxus, his teleport was so telegraphed, he got countered.
Oh, the grasping root does not land. They were off the side, and he pulled the trigger a little bit too early. Mega Inferno Bomb is not available. That was used a moment ago. Dragon gets taken. Svenskeren clears that one up. Freddy dives in towards him. Stranglethorns will bounce VandeR in the air. He's not really the focus target, but there's a kill nonetheless. Bloodwell popped off there. Overpow doing a lot of damage on towards Freddy, and now SK are in the retreat, just off of the side. nRated trying to catch on towards Xaxus, forcing him back. SK feel they've got the positional advantage. Overpow's trying to sniff on towards CandyPanda. SK moving in force, but Overpow keeping the bombs rolling, and SK trying to keep advantage on this one. Another bomb catches, and Rocket are safe for now.
There's just not enough ability power for Overpow, and he used his Mega Inferno Bomb to scout. So even though multiple members of SK got low, they couldn't finish them off because they couldn't extend fast. They couldn't get through the disengaged power that nRated and Zyra offered. Dragon for SK, a kill for SK, they extend their gold lead to 5,000. And the vision game is just super, super, super in favor of SK. Look at the wards that they've got around Dragon, the vision that they'd set up. So they had all of the time in the world to make the decision that was the best for them. You see a little bit of a fight, and Rocket, gotta be careful, okay? He's done a lot of damage.
Overpow getting focused on SK, reacting to this one. Good defense on that turret. Rocket thought they could just roll on down there instead. SK had not fully committed to backing away from this one, and now Jesiz is running defensive duties. Off the side, grasping roots thrown in. Xaxus taking some serious plant damage from nRated. Remember, he has that Leandris now. Focus on there. Celaver taking some serious hits from Jesiz. He flashes in for this one. Turns back towards Jankos, and Rocket are on the retreat.
Yeah, we'll see if he can get away. Here comes Freddy!
Diving straight in amongst them. A great play from VandeR is may well enough. Instead, Mega Inferno Bomb turns it back around. Jankos focuses on, catches out Jesiz. Now they're going to try and turn it back around. CandyPanda catches on towards the side of Jankos, and now SK are the ones retreating.
They trade 1-for-1, but Celaver was in full retreat, and Rocket could not continue that fight even if they wanted to. Freddy with a good teleport to flank from the sides allows them to at least force Rocket back. But Rocket going to be happy with that trade. They also got the killing spree bonus away from Jesiz and secure their own blue buff. So Rocket are hanging in there by the skin of their teeth. The key thing to note is Freddy's teleport. He comes from the back lines. And nRated, as well as Svenskeren and Jesiz, are trying to chase down. But there's a lot of mobility on the side of Rocket, so they're able to escape quite efficiently. Just obviously, Jankos biting off a little more than he can chew in that kill.
And that was incredible to see Celaver getting away, because his hit points were next to nothing. But if it wasn't for that flay from VandeR saving his AD carry, it could have gone very, very wrong for Rocket. As it is, it's still almost in the hands of SK Gaming. Rocket's still proving in a team fight they can pull something off if they land the right hits on the right targets. It's been a little bit messy though for them.
Yeah, it has been. And unfortunately for Rocket, you know, Kayle has got so much damage, hitting Lichbane status shortly, so that burst damage is going to go higher. Randion's Omen, Frozen Heart, Phantom Dance and Infinity, even a Leandri's Torment. If you compare nRated with Leandri's, Sork Shoes, and Vision, in comparison to VandeR, yeah, VandeR's got a whole bunch of HP with that Face of the Mountain and the Sightstone rather. But that's it. He doesn't offer a lot more other than the utility of his Death Sentences and Flays. And the problem is, Rocket aren't able to stand and fight long enough for that utility to matter. Because Xaxus is behind, because Jankos is behind, and obviously because Overpow is still not blowing people up, but he did just finish his Death Cap. So Death Cap, Void Staff, those are sort of your core items on Ziggs, and it'll be up to Overpow to help turn the tide of these fights with good bouncing bombs.
Rocket that began the 1-3-1 split push in Europe back in the spring, but right now it's SK Gaming that are keeping the pressure on them from that extent. CandyPanda pushes the wave on the bottom and rejoins his team in the mid lane. Freddy, meanwhile, going very aggressive on Xaxus there. We see Overpow joining them. And Freddy quickly dives back away from that one. CandyPanda is going to start some free time on this turret. The rest of his team are coming around. They're going to take it.
Yeah, there's so much damage between these champions that I think they've got this one. Mega Inferno Bomb could maybe save the tower. In fact, it's going to be the Culling. That tower tower and the ultimate. That's a good play. And SK just continuing to play the map. This is what we said they can do. As the game goes on, SK's team can split push, can move around the map more effectively, and they can play the mini-map more effectively because ROCCAT have to be clumped. ROCCAT have to remain together in order to be relevant. The only person that can afford to maybe be off on the sideline will be Overpow to prevent or delay those wave pushes. And obviously, if he does that, he runs the risk of being singled out.
Going to go spend that hard-earned gold they've got. We'll see what items pop in. You can see 1,400 on both Xaxus and Celaver as well for ROCCAT, so they could do with spending some. So Trinity Force now completed by Celaver. He has a big damage spike in there. CandyPanda has been farming away as well. He's going to back off in just a few moments. He's got 1,300 gold on himself. So we'll see which way they go with this one. Freddy, of course, completed that Randy into Omen. And Xaxus went with that Sunfire Cape very early on. Both with the Bladed Rune King and both keeping relatively even in terms of split. But Freddy, you feel, has the advantage.
Yeah, big time. Freddy's had the advantage this whole game. Xaxus has never really bullied Freddy, and Jankos has, while he's got himself a few kills, he hasn't been scary. He hasn't been a terrifyingly sin. One or two decent kicks, but truthfully, SK just played patiently, they played control, and now with that Lich Bane, with that Last Whisper, they've got item threshold. I think CandyPanda with Last Whisper, Phantom Lance, and IE should be able to deal with Celaver as long as he keeps a little bit at range. Auto attack, 90 caliber, and keep some distance between himself and Celaver, and that eye-edge Trinity Force should be counterable.
There's Freddy, is he going to catch on towards Overpow? Overpow runs away straight away from that one. SK moving into position. Dragon is now available. Yeah, Xaxus is in the top. He has got that teleport, but of course last time we saw that happen, went straight into a trap from SK. And SK starting this Dragon off. There's the teleport coming in. I've got a feeling SK are going to take this one. Now they're going to peel. Stranglethorns comes in there. Celaver quickly taken to safety, and they're going to try and turn it back around on Svenskeren. Quickly puts that shield back on towards him. Celaver just cleaved straight down by Freddy and Svenskeren. Don't even know why he got caught out there. Don't even know why he walked past them.
Celaver went the wrong direction. The rest of his team went right. Jankos is going to get interrupted. The rest of... Oh
dear.
Small mistake.
Sorry,
nobody did. They've got Xaxus.
Xaxus in trouble. He's going to get cleaved out. Jesiz picks on him, and VandeR has not got the hit points. He's going to get taken down. That's a good Mega Inferno bomb. But now Overpow's locked out of position. He goes down. And that satchel charge just simply bounces Svenskeren away. They can take what they want. Will they push for the tower?
CandyPanda's bringing the minions. SK Gaming have got all the damage in the world. Freddy's just going to tank it up. This should be the inhibitor secured. With 30-second death timers for Xaxus and Overpow, SK Gaming once again perform the dragon fight just perfectly. They deal with ROCCAT's threat, and back away. It looks like SK want to break ROCCAT's winning streak.
You can see that's going to be half the hit points already for Jankos. He has to back away. SK with an inhibitor taken, and seemingly the game, they just back off. 11,000 gold lead right now. With that inhib down, of course, Super Minions will be pushing in. ROCCAT are going to react. They're going to rush straight for Baron, it seems.
Oh, this could go horribly wrong. Because ROCCAT are coming in drips and drabs, they don't have the damage if they wanted to rush it down, and it would be enough time for SK Gaming to get there quite quickly. Teleport is up for Freddy. There's movement speed for Kale, for Evelyn. We need to see how quick they can do this. I'm assuming they're going to back out. Jesiz may look for a kill. Yeah, they've got to back away. Celaver, oh my word!
2 hits on Celaver. That is what it does.
That might be Baron for SK. Because they forced both Jankos and Celaver away, know that they need to heal, rather. Ooh, that was close. This should be Baron for SK if they want to, because they know they're going to have the numbers advantage. Waiting for CandyPanda. What's the call? Freddy wants it, but you can see they're a bit split. The rest of the team deciding against it.
Well, Freddy normally makes the calls, and they normally follow, but it seems that this time around, Jez is like, I have not even had a chance to back and buy. He's got 2.2k on him, so it's a potentially wise choice. Dangerous play. Would have been risky. Gets himself the Runehound's Hurricane. Oh, tell a lie, he didn't. He went towards the...
Void Staff.
Void Staff.
Yeah.
So he hasn't gone for the Hurricane.
It's all burst. With Sorcerer's Shoes, he's going full burst. He's got so much damage from everyone else. This is just the only thing SK's team comp is lacking. And you could probably theorize the reason SK didn't go for the Baron play was because they're against the Ziggs. The steal potential with bombs, Mega Inferno is real, and there was numbers around for the rest of ROCCAT. Night Vision, as I say that, Ziggs was in the bottom lane, so he's needing to respond, and I think SK are going to secure this one.
Oh, he's in the hole, grasping root. He has to take the lantern. Mega Inferno bomb not going to steal, and that's a dead Jankos.
Yeah,
well,
I mean, quite understand that one.
He went in a little bit too late on that one. went straight into CandyPanda.
So SK instantly stopped Baron the moment Overpow revealed himself in the bottom lane. I think they calculated the time that it would take to get in there, and regardless of the reasoning, they secure themselves Baron, they get another kill, and SK are just going to set their sights on another inhibitor turret. Celaver uses his culling on the champions, not the minion wave. I don't think it makes a difference because SK are just melting these objectives.
Yeah, Freddy just takes the culling and basically loses nothing. He teleports to the top, he wants that wave to push in as quick as possible. SK Gaming suddenly have a buster catch or something because they want to finish the game right now.
Yeah, the distance, the reason they are so far ahead is allowing them to just use that teleport. You know, Freddy's not worried, pushes the minion wave up, and there's very little ROC can do. If SK want to tower dive, they can go under the turret and use Stranglethorns to completely zone out and control ROC's movements. This has been a very, very strong performance in the mid-game for SK. They survived the laning phase well, and they're punishing ROC hard to close this game out.
I'm pretty sure Jankos cannot take down Svenskeren there. Not sure why they're even trying to duel it out there. He's got the Baron buff, he's got double buff on him. And of course,
he's a
tanky member on
frozen heart.
Yeah, there's not a lot he's going to do towards him. Mason, a hole on Celaver. And Freddy's going to walk in, they're going to take this one down. Jesiz will do the damage. Mega Inferno Bomb lands on 4 of them. But ROC now without any inhibitor turrets. They're going to keep focusing. They're really desperately trying to pull something off here. Svenskeren keeps drawing their attention away from this inhibitor in the top.
There are super minions in the bottom lane now on the Nexus turrets. CandyPanda is melting through the last inhibitor. It is just a matter of time. SK Gaming can decide to engage and let the super minions do the work for them. It does look like they're pushing for the final closure here. We'll see if they can actually pick this game up.
SK peel around the side, still got that Baron on them. Remember, there's one Nexus turret going down, everything being thrown at them. Xaxus is taking a massive pile of damage. Good intervention there for Freddy, saving his life. But the second Nexus turret goes down, the Nexus will fall, and SK Gaming go 9-4 in the lead.
Strong victory from SK Gaming. They did not flinch under the pressure of the early game team composition that ROC put together. And again, I just don't think ROC were proactive enough. I don't think they tried to push the towers. I don't feel that Xaxus or Jankos had a real presence in that game. And unfortunately, they lose their winning streak. So 1-4 now in the last 5 games, and SK pick up a great victory.
Veggie said they take it one game at a time. They weren't overly confident. Rightly so, SK have proven many times if they get to the late game, and they had a late game comp, they are the best team in Europe. Despite how they played against Alliance, if they can reach that phase, and they did it with ease, honestly. A 5-1-6 Jesiz, 2-1-5 Freddy, 3-1-4 CandyPanda. Nobody was really affected. 2-0-9 for nRated. Nobody was really pressured for SK game, the whole game.
Definitely not. And I think one of the things that I like to compare between SK and Alliance, because we keep talking about the two teams that are at the top of the table, is how efficiently and effectively SK Gaming finish games.
Yes.
I would dare say, I'm going to go on a limb and I'll say it's the only area of the game where SK Gaming are significantly better than Alliance. But it is because Alliance in their style is a lot more passive. It is a lot slower. They don't try to force your hand and win now in 3 minutes. They're confident in their super late game. So it's a contrast in styles, but you do have to give credit to SK. In every game they do get a lead. They finish very convincingly and in a relatively short space of time once they set their sights on inhibitors and Nexus.
And you got to look towards the pick and ban phase. Obviously, it was down to them. Do we ban Cassidy? Do we ban Kale? Should they have gone with anything else? Because it was putting them in a hard place. And whether it's just simply they simply forgot. It's, you know, sometimes there's that many. I mean, there's a lot of champions out there you got to look towards. I got to feel, you know, Kale has proven many, many times. Had a 75% win rate before that game. Now, obviously, only increasing. They're now 13-4. Anyone that plays Kale, 13-4 win rate.
It is a very high win ratio, but it's also, especially in Europe, that high because our teams run so late. Our teams do not pressure early. So Kale's always going to get to that, oh my god, monster level, because our average game time is in 40 minutes, right? You're going to get 3 or 4 items. I actually think that Rocket had a good team comp coming out of picks and bans, but there is a time limit on it. There was a ticking fuse that if they hadn't got a significant lead or put themselves in a good position by the time that fuse burned down, SK was always going to do well. And unfortunately for Rocket, they just weren't proactive enough in that early game.
And looking towards the jungler, obviously Jankos on the lead scene, needs to make the ganks, went down towards that bottom lane. Didn't see any ganks on that mid lane.
He also
really.
missed a lot of sonic waves. I mean, I hate to say it, you know, I hate to call somebody out, but he did miss a lot of those sonic waves. And ifs and whens. What if that had connected? What could have been? But unfortunately it didn't, and ROC lose.
Early aggression from Svenskeren as well. Who knows? It could have gone either way, but it went SK's way once again. We're going to go over to Shox and Deficio, who's standing by with nRated from SK.
Thank you very much, Demon. Indeed, joined by nRated here. Congratulations, first off, on that win. Very straightforward win, and I think it started in picks and bans already for you guys. I think you outplayed them there already. But what were the... you know, I totally lost my words. What happened in picks and bans that made you very confident into the game?
Well, we went with a plan on 2 bans and picks, as we usually do, but this time it just all went according to plan. Like, we basically got all we wanted, and it just felt very smooth, like, going into the game with those picks.
What about Zyra as the support for you? I mean, what was the reason behind it?
Well, Zyra is good versus Thresh. That's basically all it is there.
So it was basically a counter pick of also with the Caitlyn against Lucian here. Overall, to me, it seemed like you guys just had the stronger lanes. As you just talked about yourself, everything went perfect. So I guess going into the game, you guys must have felt pretty good.
Yeah, we felt really good with the picks we had. Going on against Thresh with Zyra and Caitlyn was really good for us as well. I feel like we have played out the lane really well, and the picks were just in our favor, and that's all that mattered.
Talk me through how you decided to build Zyra in there, because aside from the side zone and the Frostfang, I think it is, you just went straight AP and not going for anything that could give more utility or made it mid-cows. Why was that?
Well, I feel like the core items on Zyra with Sorg Boots and Liandry's is just the way to go. And you have a lot of M-Pen, and the M-Pen helps you to get out your raw base damage that you have on Zyra. And the Liandry's proc as well, like, drops them low immediately when you hit someone with Root Ult. And I feel overall it's just a very viable build. And whatever you go afterwards, whatever build path you might go for, those 2 items are very much standard.
So I would actually like to know, 4.10 now. What do you actually think about the whole patch here? Because there's so many changes for AD carries. Of course, that affects you as a support. What do you think?
Well, I feel like a lot of people are trying out and don't really know what to do. So I don't want to go too much into detail. But just overall, I feel like ADs right now are kind of in a strong state once they completed 1 or 2 items.
So 1 or 2 items. And for you, I know you didn't really want to talk too much about it, but I still actually want to hear your opinion here. What do you think are the best item choices for AD carries if you have to choose 2 of them?
That really depends on the AD carry you have. Like, very auto-pack dependent, I guess IH is a better choice than something else. But when you go, like, let's say melee or like more combat-based, let's go for Lucian. I think Blade of the Rune King is the way to go.
All right, final question. Then we take a step back and look at your performance in general. We saw last week in the game versus Alliance. Do you think there is a really big skill gap between you and them, or did you just play that wrongly? And what does that give you going into the rest of the season?
I feel like they're very good punishing mistakes, and we just did too many mistakes against them. I don't know why. Maybe we were too pressured ourselves, or we just felt like we didn't do what we wanted to. We got out of our comfort zone, and we did a lot of mistakes that we learned from in every game we play with Alliance, and they're really good right now. Like, there's no doubt about that. But I feel like it's because of our mistakes, they could like benefit from them and just got ahead that way.
All right, well, thank you very much, nRated. And now let's head back to Demon and Quickshot at the desk for a look at the standings.
Thank you very much, Shox. We are now halfway through week 6, so let's check out the table. Up in the top, well, you know who it is. It is Alliance. They're now on a 4-game win streak. Shook off that loss to Gambit from a few weeks back, and they are well out in first place, 11-2.
Yeah, and then 2 games back from the leaders are SK Gaming in second. They're now at 9-4, and tied for 3rd place are Fnatic, Millennium, when they're both teams at 7-6. And you know what? Copenhagen Wolves, if they keep losing, they're going to be starting losing guaranteed top 2, guaranteed top 4 with that loss streak.
Yeah, they are desperately out of position right now. Of course, on Friday, we'll be bringing you more LCS action, starting out with ROC versus Alliance. Now going to be followed by Millennium versus SK Gaming.
That will then be followed by Fnatic versus the Superhot crew, and we'll end things with Gambit Gaming and the Copenhagen Wolves. But stay tuned, immediately following our matches tomorrow to see the European Challenger play in for the 2nd Summer Series.
And then, of course, that is all happening on Friday at 6 p.m. Central European Time. That is 9 a.m. Pacific. And now for myself, Quickshot, Joe, Deficio, Shox, and the entire LCS broadcast team, thank you very much for watching, and we'll see you tomorrow.
Average player. So average. So average, dude. Dying to minions.
ROC coming in, lands on towards the other side. Great play though. Peke actually joining the party as well as the intervention goes to Unlimited, but Countdown's going to get finished off. Half Fnatic got the damage. The Coprianiuk Wolves have turned around, but they're calling ripping through them. Reckless now on a rampage. Woolite goes down.
You got the most fantasy points, I think.
What can I say? I am gold.
Wait, how many?
Cornex is actually going to go low, finished off by the gold card, and now Froggen and Tab's going to focus towards Crearson. Have they got the damage? Solar Flare comes down. They do manage to get themselves the second. Can they have the third as well? They will now.
He's going to get taken down already. Impaler's low just off the side. Impaler goes down. It's a double now. Genja's getting focused on by Mima. Mima's just going to jump away from this one. Oh, Genja takes him down. What the hell are Super Hot Crew doing? I have no idea.
Really don't be funny if you're not a funny person.
Just quit life if you're not a funny person.
Leave the funny stuff, just Svenskeren.
They've got that.
Xaxus in trouble. He's going to get cleaned out. Jesiz picks on him, and VandeR has not got the hit points. He's going to get taken down. That's a good Mega Inferno bomb. But now Overpow's locked out of position. He goes down.